Welcome to our channel. Today we're diving into the thrilling, occasionally tedious, but always important world of maritime regulations. Now, I know what you're thinking. Regulations? That sounds about as fun as a barnacle massage, and you know what? On the surface you're not wrong. But believe me, these rules, these majestic maritime commandments are the difference between smooth sailing and, well, let's just say you don't want to be caught in a maritime law violation. Whether you're a seasoned sailor who knows their way around a sextant or just someone who enjoys the smell of salt and desperation, and let's be honest, who doesn't? This video is for you. First up, we're tackling the heavy hitter, the big kahuna, the granddaddy of all maritime regulations, SOLAS, the Safety of Life at Sea Convention. And yes, it's just as dramatic as it sounds. Enacted in response to the Titanic, you know, that little maritime mishap. SOLAS is like the wise old captain of maritime safety, laying down the law on everything from fire safety to lifeboat regulations. Think of it like this. SOLAS is the reason your cruise ship isn't just a floating tinderbox full of confused passengers. It's the reason those life jackets actually exist. And it's the reason maritime mishaps, while they still happen, are far less likely to end up as a cautionary tale whispered by the ocean breeze. Next, we're diving into the wonderful world of MARPOL, the International Convention for the Prevention of Pollution from Ships. Because, let's face it, nobody likes a polluted ocean. Not the fish, not the coral, and certainly not those of us who enjoy the occasional dip in the big blue without emerging smelling like a diesel spill. MARPOL is all about keeping our oceans clean, or at least as clean as we can manage while still enjoying the wonders of international shipping. It covers everything from oil and garbage disposal to air pollution from ships, because it turns out what happens on the ocean doesn't just stay on the ocean. It washes up on our shores, it affects our air, and it impacts the delicate balance of marine life. Now let's talk about the people who make these maritime marvels go the seafarers. And no, I'm not talking about mythical creatures who lure sailors to their doom with their enchanting voices. I'm talking about the hard-working men and women who keep the shipping industry afloat. Enter the STCW, the Standards of Training, Certification and Watchkeeping Convention. This is where things get serious, folks. The STCW is like the maritime equivalent of a superhero training montage, setting the standards for the training and certification of seafarers around the globe. We're talking rigorous training, demanding exams, and the assurance that the people steering the ship, fixing the engine, and, not crashing into things actually know what they're doing. From the people, we move on to the processes. The ISM code, or International Safety Management Code, is all about making sure that ships are operated and managed safely. Because, let's face it, a ship without a plan is just a very large, very expensive bathtub bobbing around the ocean. The ISM code is like the ship's operations manual, outlining everything from risk assessment and emergency procedures to maintenance and crew competence. It's the behind-the-scenes magic that keeps those ships running smoothly, safely, and hopefully on schedule. Because, let's be honest, nobody wants to be stuck at sea longer than they have to. Ahoy there, mateys. It's time to talk about maritime security. And no, I'm not talking about those inflatable sharks you see at tourist traps. I'm talking about the ISPS code, the International Ship and Port Facility Security Code. Because while the golden age of piracy might be over, the threat of maritime terrorism, smuggling and other nefarious activities is still very much alive. The ISPS code is like the maritime version of a high-security prison, but instead of keeping criminals in, it's keeping them out. It sets out a framework for assessing and managing security risks, implementing security measures, and coordinating with port facilities to ensure that ships and their precious cargo remain safe from harm. Ever heard of invasive species? No, I'm not talking about your in-laws. I'm talking about those pesky plants and animals that hitch a ride on ships and wreak havoc on ecosystems they weren't meant to be a part of. Think zebra mussels clogging up pipes or lionfish decimating native fish populations. Not cool, right? That's where the Ballast Water Management Convention comes in. This convention is all about stopping the spread of these aquatic invaders by setting standards for the management and treatment of ballast water, that watery ballast that ships take on and discharge to maintain stability. It's like giving those unwanted aquatic guests a one-way ticket back to where they came from. Let's face it, life at sea can be tough. Long hours, isolation, the constant threat of scurvy. Okay, maybe not so much scurvy these days, but you get the point. That's why the Maritime Labour Convention, or MLC, exists to protect the rights of seafarers around the world. This convention is like the Maritime Magna Carta, setting out minimum standards for working conditions, accommodation, medical care, and repatriation for seafarers. It's about making sure that the people who keep the shipping industry moving are treated with the dignity and respect they deserve. Imagine this. You're sailing along, enjoying the sea breeze, when suddenly, out of nowhere, another ship appears on a collision course. What do you do? Well, if you want to avoid a maritime disaster movie scenario, you'd better know your COL regs, the international regulations for preventing collisions at sea. These rules are like the traffic laws of the ocean, dictating who has right-of-way in different situations, how to signal your intentions, and how to avoid turning your leisurely cruise into a nautical nightmare. It's all about keeping those ships from playing bumper cars on the high seas. Ever tried to load a bathtub with too many rubber duckies? It doesn't end well, does it? The same goes for ships. That's where the Load Line Convention comes in, ensuring that ships aren't overloaded and turned into floating hazards. This convention is all about setting limits on how much cargo a ship can carry, taking into account factors like the ship's design, the type of cargo, and the expected sea conditions. It's about preventing ships from sinking under the weight of their own ambition, because nobody wants to see a cargo ship transformed into an artificial reef. Last but not least, we come to the mother of all maritime regulations, the United Nations Convention on the Law of the Sea, or UNCLOS for short. This behemoth of a treaty is like the constitution of the ocean, setting out a comprehensive framework for how the world's oceans and seas are to be used and managed. From territorial waters to exclusive economic zones, from deep seabed mining to the conservation of marine resources, UNCLOS covers it all. It's the result of decades of negotiations, compromises, and the occasional diplomatic standoff. And it's essential for maintaining order and cooperation on the high seas. So, there you have it. Our whirlwind tour of the top 10 maritime regulations you absolutely must know. I know, it's a lot to take in, but trust me, it's important stuff. These regulations are the unsung heroes of the maritime world, the silent guardians of safety, security, and environmental protection. They might not be glamorous, they might not be the stuff of Hollywood blockbusters, although, come on, a good maritime thriller, I'm here for it. But they're essential for keeping the shipping industry afloat, literally. So the next time you see a ship on the horizon, take a moment to appreciate the web of regulations that make it all possible. And if you're ever thinking of setting sail yourself, well, study up. Because the ocean is a fickle mistress, and she demands respect. Thanks for watching. If you found this video helpful, don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe for more informative content. Safe sailing!